Chapter 4. A Century of Struggle, Rothschild versus the People. 1. Colonial Currency and the American Revolution. Colonial script freed the colonies from English usury. Benjamin Franklin credited prosperity to the issuance of debt-free local currency. The 1764 Currency Act, imposed by the Bank of England, crushed this system, producing mass unemployment and poverty. The Stamp Act followed, but Franklin identified the true spark of revolution as the abolition of colonial money. Footnote: the Currency Act's restriction of local money was more incendiary than taxation. 2. The First Bank of the United States. After independence, Robert Morris introduced the Bank of North America, 1782, effectively a Rothschild-aligned central bank. Its successor, the First Bank of the United States, 1791, had 80% private ownership, mostly foreign. Jefferson, Madison, and Adams condemned it as unconstitutional and dangerous. Jefferson warned that banking institutions were more dangerous than standing armies. The bank's manipulation produced the Panic of 1792. By 1811, foreign ownership reached 75%, fueling fierce opposition that killed its charter. Footnote: foreign control of America's money was seen as a direct threat to sovereignty. 3. War of 1812 and the Second Bank. Mayer Amschel Rothschild vowed America would suffer war unless the bank charter was renewed. British provocations and the assassination of Prime Minister Spencer Perceval, 1812, coincided with rising tensions. War followed, leaving the U.S. with crushing debt. The Second Bank of the United States, 1816, was born, with Rothschild influence channeled through Nicholas Biddle. Jackson's populist cry, "The monster must perish," galvanized opposition. After surviving an assassination attempt, Jackson vetoed recharter, withdrew government deposits, and in 1836 extinguished the bank, leaving a debt-free treasury surplus. Footnote: Jackson's dismantling of the Second Bank remains the only successful expulsion of Rothschild-linked banking in U.S. history. 4. The Greenbacks and Lincoln. Lincoln rejected foreign bankers' offers of 24 to 36% interest loans, instead issuing $347 million in greenbacks, interest-free treasury notes. This defiance enraged Rothschild agents. Lincoln was assassinated in 1865, his death widely attributed to retaliation for bypassing private credit. The crime of 1873 demonetized silver, imposed by bribery of Congress, forcing America onto the gold standard, which facilitated bank-driven booms and busts. Footnote: the greenbacks showed that national credit could be sovereign, efficient, and interest-free. 5. Cycles of Panic and Assassination. Artificial Panics, 1873, 1893, 1907, consolidated private banking control. Presidents Garfield, 1881, and McKinley, 1901, both fell to assassins after challenging monetary power. Garfield's words, "Whosoever controls the volume of money is master of industry and commerce," sealed his fate. The 1907 panic, triggered by J.P. Morgan and Jacob Schiff, paved the way for a new central bank. Footnote: panics were not market accidents but engineered consolidations of power. 6. The Federal Reserve and Jekyll Island. In 1910, Warburg, Morgan, Vanderlip, and Aldrich secretly drafted the Federal Reserve Act at Jekyll Island. Passed on Christmas Eve 1913, the act created a privately owned reserve bank. Congressman Lindbergh called it the greatest legislative crime of all ages. Since then, the U.S. dollar has lost 97% of its value. Shareholders included Rothschild banks, Warburg, Lazard, Goldman Sachs, and Morgan. Footnote: the Federal Reserve legalized private control over America's currency under the guise of stability. 7. Russia's alternative, the state bank. In contrast, Russia's 19th-century state bank issued low-interest credit, backed by immense gold reserves. By 1914, Russia had the world's lowest debt, lowest taxes, and was the breadbasket of Europe. Industrial growth outpaced Britain and the U.S. Elementary education was free, labor laws humane, and GDP growth averaged 10% annually. This prosperity made Russia a threat to Rothschild finance. The 1917 revolution, bankrolled by Wall Street and Rothschild agents, stripped Russia of gold and placed it under Bolshevik control. Footnote: Russia's state banking success was destroyed precisely because it threatened the Rothschild system. 8. The Anglo-Boer War and South African gold. The discovery of gold in the Transvaal, 1886, provoked Rothschild-backed agitation for British conquest. After scorched earth campaigns, concentration camps, and 34,000 Boer civilian deaths, Britain secured South Africa's mineral wealth. The war added £132 million to Britain's debt but secured Rothschild control of gold flows underpinning the global standard. Footnote: The Boer War was less about empire than about Rothschild control of gold. 9. World War I and the Balfour Bargain. Though officially triggered by Sarajevo, the deeper purpose of World War I was to destroy empires, impose central banks, and secure Palestine for Zionism. By 1916 Britain faced defeat. Rothschild offered U.S. intervention in exchange for Palestine. The Balfour Declaration, 1917, sealed the deal, binding Britain to support a Jewish homeland. Wilson brought America into the war, shifting the balance. By war's end, empires lay in ruins, central banking spread, and the Middle East was transformed. Footnote: World War I was a banker's war, empires were broken, debts multiplied, and Palestine delivered.